Hello, everyone. Welcome to the EJG3 show. This is your host, Eddie Gallagher. Uh, I am here today with Jimmy Lavelle. Jimmy, thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me. Honored to be on here. Like I said before, you've had some special guests in the show, so to be one of those guys is truly an honor. I'm looking forward to kind of covering the topics we need to cover today, mostly NFL related. But yeah, honored to be on the show. Thanks for inviting me, Ed.
Yeah, no, absolutely. All right, so we got big news. Friday night, Brock Purdy got a deal. A 5-year deal worth 265 million. 165 million guaranteed for the first 3 years. So we knew that this deal was coming, but we didn't know when. Jimmy, I'm glad that it's finally done. You know, I'm a big Brock Purdy fan, and look, I get it, 53 million per year, it's a lot, but I think he's worth the money.
Yeah, and I have to agree. I mean, that's the market. When you got a quarterback who's producing, whether it's due to him or his team around him, you think you got to pay him. Guys like Jack Cowles, guys like Mikey Louise, those Eagles fans who are salty about the amount of times that Brock Purdy has beat them. They don't want him to get paid. They don't want him to have success. But he deserves it. That's the quarterback market it is today. And a guy like Brock Purdy, 5'11", kind of nerdy, having him, someone like that, get paid that money kind of gives hope to guys like us from the Camillus area. Shows that pretty much anybody can get a contract in the NFL if you put your hard work and dedication to it. And anybody who's hating on Brock Purdy, I think it's pretty sad because the guy's thrown for over 3,000 yards the last 2 years, 25 touchdowns a year on average the last 2 years. Guy's producing over 100 quarterback rating all 3 years of his career. And yes, he's had a lot of help along the way, but who doesn't? I mean, you look at a guy like Jalen Hurts. He's had the most help in the NFL, and no one really says much about him. And he's not producing the same numbers that Purdy is. So, and he won a Super Bowl. So it shows you that pretty much anybody can win a Super Bowl with the right team around them and a decent quarterback. So, yeah, it's awesome.
Look, I mean, I root for him because obviously last pick of the draft, kind of an underdog story. Um, Look, I get it. There's a lot of question marks. He did not have a great season last year, but granted, a lot of guys were injured. Debo, Ayuk, just there was a lot of drama, and that season. Talking about his contract. Look, and now he has his guys back. Got an easy schedule. So they had to pay him. That's what the market is. And look, we'll see. I mean, I am a little concerned though that he is injury prone though. I mean, when you pay a guy like that, you would want him to be healthy.
Yeah, I mean the injuries are definitely a factor. He's had what two injuries, right?
Yeah.
Two bigger injuries. Yeah, I mean, definitely want to stay healthy, but at the same time, you gotta look at the alternative. Who else would they gonna take? They got to take a guy like Shador Sanders, who could have took for a cheaper deal, but you don't really know what you're gonna get out of him. Might set the team back. The thing is, you got Christian McCaffrey in his prime, you have Bosa in his prime, you have Kyle Shanahan, you have these guys around him. You paid Ayuk. You gotta take advantage of it. And Purdy's the best option right now for them. They have a 4 year window to win the championship, which they've been so close so many times. And I hope they do get it done because I'm a fan of the Niners and the Shanahan, what they do over there. I think it's good. I think it's good football. Good football. So yeah, I think I agree with the move. I think you got to pay the guy. It sucks you got to pay that much because, I mean, but you look around the league. Like I said, like guys like Jordan Love, who in my opinion, Jordan Love is not even close to worth that money. On what he's produced, he's kind of a one hit wonder against the Cowboys. So, guys like Jalen Hurts gets paid a lot. He won a ring, but I mean, anybody can win a ring on that Eagles team. So, you look around the league. That's what guys are getting paid, even mid quarterbacks like Jordan Love, Jalen Hurts, and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's. I think Purdy deserves the money, and I think hopefully he wins the next 4 years with McCaffrey and Bosa. He wins a ring. That'd be getting to be good for football.
Yeah. And plus they had to move guys off because they were preparing for this contract. But also, Debo Samuel was getting older. He's a good player, but he was getting older, and I think they're probably gonna move off George Kittle soon because he's an older guy.
Yeah.
Uh, but I mean, that's what you have to do when you pay a top quarterback, and now it's up to Brock Purdy to deliver. You're the guy now.
Yeah. I mean, what is he, 25, 26? I mean, you got to give him time. These people are just hating on him because of last year. he had a few bad games, and listen, he's never going to be Josh Allen. You're a Bills fan, right, Eddie?
Yeah, I'm a Bills fan.
Yeah, he's never going to be Josh Allen. He's never going to be like Lamar Jackson. He's never going to be Mahomes. But if he can be like I said, what we saw with the Eagles this year, if he can be a top 10 quarterback or above average quarterback and don't turn the ball over with Kyle Shanahan, top three coach in the NFL, arguably, that's enough to win Super Bowl. So I think the window makes sense. I know and then Debo Samuel, he's been a locker room disease the whole time. Hopefully, he doesn't ruin the Commanders' run. I didn't really understand that move for the Commanders. Thought it was kind of jump the gun move there for the Commanders because I think they didn't really need to do that with someone who's as toxic as Debo. We'll see. Yeah, I think moving off Debo is a good move. They built some more assets to run the line, and then they still have you coming back, McCaffrey coming back. They should be a top five team in the NFC next year, 100%.
I mean, they do have a fourth place schedule, um, which that
Yes.
helps. Um, so yeah, no, we'll see what the 49ers can do this year. Okay, let's talk about your Chicago Bears. I never discussed this on my show. So they hired Ben Johnson. Um, I like the move. Offensive guru, from the Lions. Uh, what's your take on Ben Johnson? Coming to the
Yeah,
Bears.
yeah, and this is what we call a turning point or a shift in the tide. What we call in Chicago. A little backstory: Bears last 20 years haven't really hired a good coach in since I've really been alive since Lovie Smith in the early 2000s. Not a little kid. So they've hired a bunch of bad coaches. They got guys from Adam Gase, who was a CFL coach, John Fox, who was over his hill, Matt Nagy, Matt Eberflus. So even with the talent they've had over the years, mostly on the defense side of the ball, it never can really reach its full potential because of the coach. The coaching has never been right. The Bears front office is not very smart. We could put it nicely there, and they hire the wrong guys. This for the first time since I've been alive, they've hired the top free agent coach, the best coach in the market, the best offensive mind in football. One of them, him or Andy Reid, I think it is right now, and it's going to be a huge, huge adjustment. Last year, the Bears lost so many one-score games to the Hail Mary to the Commanders, to the timeout and Thanksgiving to the Lions, to the one-score game against Minnesota in overtime when they lost that game. They could have been a 9-8 team last year. It's a shame because Caleb had a good year for what he had to deal with, three coaching changes, all of that, and yeah, the coaching held him back. And now they have a good coach. So now that talent's going to thrive. And like I said before, it's going to be a huge, huge switch in the culture of Chicago Bears. I think people are going to notice right away how much different this team looks. People are sleeping on them because last year we said this, but last year we didn't have a coach, Ed. So this is a big, big turning point in Chicago. Fans are excited. I'm going to a game this year. Can't wait.
Well, the Bears' aura has always been defense. The '85 Bears, they had
Yep.
defensive head coaches. I like the fact that they changed to an offensive coach. Because the NFL today is an offensive league. And the fact that you got Ben Johnson, I think he can help Caleb. We know what he did with the Lions. He likes to run the ball. A great way to help a quarterback is a running back or an O line, which we'll address that later in the show. I'm just glad that the culture has changed. Try to go offense.
Yeah, no, I mean it's a huge change, and like people don't understand because they don't watch the Bears every week. They lost, I think it was like 11, no, maybe 10 one-score games last year, and most of them are due to just poor coaching. Not calling like on Thanksgiving, not calling a timeout when they were supposed to. They had two timeouts, never called one on the game-winning drive. The Hail Mary where Eberflus decided not to call a timeout before and get this team set, so Jane Daniels tried to be a miracle, underthrew it, tipped in the end zone game. So there were so many chances. And in the Packers game, they fortunately beat the Packers second time around, but the first time, game-winning field goal, 45 yards, speed chip shot, the kick is blocked. Just so many little things that could have won games against good teams, and due to coaching, held them back. You're really going to see Caleb kind of explode this year. That second year explosion that he talks about, I want to see that big leap. That's what you're going to see this year, Ed. You're going to see Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams take that next step of being one of the most dominant quarterback coaching duos in the NFL. And people aren't going to believe it. They're going to watch this video. They're going to be like, wow, he's just spewing nonsense again like last year. They're going to have to wait and see, Ed. They're going to have to wait and see. And or what we're playing on primetime week one, they're going to get a front row seat to it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so I like what the Bears did this offseason. They addressed the O line. The Bears allowed 68 sacks last year, so they got Drew Dahlman, center, 3-year deal, worth 42 million, 28 million guaranteed. They also got Joe Turney from Kansas City for a 2026 fourth round pick, and they also got Jonah Jackson, guard, uh, from the Rams. Look, Ben Johnson, football. Everything is O line, D line. So the fact that they address the O line, I think it will help Caleb Williams, have a little protection, have a little bit more time. Look, were all those sacks on the O line? No, but I think it would help.
Yeah, I mean, I think most sacks for the O line. He does hold the ball a little too long, but when you get sacked that much, you don't want to give up on plays because you don't know when you're going to get another one. That's the thing you got to remember about that. People gave Caleb a lot like crap for that. It really wasn't his fault. When you hit that many times, it throws off your rhythm, throws off your thing. You're holding the ball too long, so that's kind of a chain of events. That's why people want to blame Caleb, but yeah, like you said, they addressed the center. They addressed the left tackle, Joe Thuney, four-time Super Bowl champion. He got more Super Bowls than most NFL combined. And they got Jonah Jackson on the right side, and then they got some D line help, Gerald Everett, some big dogs in the defensive line. Yeah, they beefed the whole lineup. That's what they needed to do. That was our biggest weakness last year was the line of scrimmage, getting beefy up front. We saw what happened in Philadelphia, how they won Super Bowl off being the best team up front on both sides of the ball. It matters a lot, especially when you have a young QB like Caleb, 23 years old. Having a guy like Joe Tooney, four-time Super Bowl champion. He blocked for Brady. He blocked for Mahomes. Won two ratings with each. Someone like that leading the O line is going to be special. Dahlman's best center in free agency. It's good things happening in Chicago. Ryan Poles done a great job. I think if the Bears pan out, he's up for GM of the year this year, executive of the year, whatever you want to call it. He's done a great job, and I think a lot of teams don't address the O line and D line like us in the past. I'm glad we're one of those teams now who's addressing it finally, getting those positions beefed up, getting some depth on both sides of the ball. It's gonna be good. And then we also added Luther on the draft, wide receiver, and also Colston Loveland, Michigan tight end. So you got that dual tight end that Ben Johnson loves. You got Cole Kmet, Colston Loveland on the corners here, and on the outside you got DJ Moore, Roma Dunze, Luther Burden, who's supposed to be a first round pick, wide receiver. I mean, they're loaded. There's just no way around it. They're loaded, Ed.
Yeah, I mean they do have good weapons. Were you surprised that they drafted Colson Loveland and not the tight end from Penn State?
That's a great question. I was a little surprised. I think going into the draft, we were all thinking Genty, Bears fans, non-Bears fans, Bears haters. We were all thinking Genty was the move. They were the favorite to get him minus 150 or something like that. And unfortunately, the Raiders are not as smart as we thought, and they took Genty before even getting an O line and other weapons for their quarterback. So for some reason, the Raiders think that they're one Genty away from being good, which is not the case. So they took Genty. Unfortunately, we couldn't take him. I think people are saying that Warren was the better pick for us. I think Colston Loveland's a better NFL player. I do. He's a better route runner. He's a better pass catcher. He's more of a Travis Kelsey type breed that works in the NFL now. We've seen that over and over again. We saw it with Laporta. We saw it with guys like that. We saw it with the Bills tight end. He's a beast. Guys who can catch the ball in the open field and make something happen. That's what we need. And having two tight ends like Cole Kmet and Colston Loveland when you're 23 years old is so insane to have. That's literally what Detroit had last year. Ben Johnson's building that team like Detroit. It's going to be special, Ed, I'm telling you. I think it's going to be a big time year for us. And the haters like McDonald and McCarthy, Guys like that, Jack House, those are guys who can't see the vision, they can't see the future, and they don't know what's coming because they kind of live in the past a lot. So that's what we're looking at this year.
Yeah, and Ben Johnson, we know he likes that two tight end set. Look, I get it. They got rid of Keenan Allen, which
He's 40, Ed.
yeah, he's an old guy. He's an old guy. I mean, he's a good wide receiver. But I think I think you guys have good enough weapons to compete.
Yeah, and the NFC North is a tough division. Ed, you got Packers who are iffy because they don't have a quarterback. You have Minnesota who's got a rookie quarterback, JJ McCarthy, and then you have the Lions who lost Ben Johnson, who lost other weapons. They might take a slight step back without Ben Johnson.
Well, they
So
also lost their defensive corner, Glenn.
you're right. They lost Aaron Glenn. They lost a couple other pieces. They lost their wide receiver coach, who went to Chicago as well. They've lost a little bit of. So Lions are still going to be the favorite, and they deserve to be the favorite. Goff's great, great weapons, unbelievable line, and defense is solid. But they've lost a step. And Green Bay, I'm not worried about. Caleb owns Green Bay, and then Minnesota, JJ McCarthy's rookie year. Who knows what's going to happen there? It's a great situation for him, but coming off an injury, so I'm not too worried about them. So if we can beat out Detroit for that division, things are going to make movement here. I think the door's open. The NFC North won't be as good this year as it was last year. Last year was unbelievable, obviously. So we'll see. I think it'll be a door open. There's a slight chance they might sneak in and win the NFC North and go on to the playoffs with the home field advantage.
Okay, let's take it easy on Caleb owning Green Bay. All right, one season. He only won one game.
He's never lost in Lambeau though, so until he loses in Lambeau, I think he has to own some real estate. Am I right?
No, not really. Um, look, I mean, look. Speaking of Caleb Williams, his story came out this week, talking about how he didn't want to be a Bear. He had some concerns, him and his father. Um, which I did hear rumors, before he got drafted. Hey, his father, was very concerned. What's your takeaway from the story that got released this week?
Yeah, I read the article. It was a non-easy read. I think kind of knew it already. I mean, I feel like a lot of quarterbacks are a little scared to go to Chicago just because of the past, the checkered past of quarterbacks who haven't been too successful here. We've been, like you said, a defensive aura team, an organization that's built and focused around defense. But that's changed since Caleb's arrived. Obviously, we're just drafting all offensive guys now, and hiring Ben Johnson, obviously offensive. So, for starters, looking at today, before I go back to the article, Caleb is happy to be in the Bears. He was excited. There's videos of him screaming in joy when they hired Ben Johnson. There's videos of him just absolutely embracing the locker room in Chicago. So this was all before he even got a chance to interview, and they were concerned at first. Let me say this. Let me preface this. Carl Williams, Caleb's dad, is a loser. He has been a loser since day one of Caleb being in Chicago. He's been tweeting about the Bears' flaws and stuff like that. I don't think you'd do that as a dad of a player on a team in an NFL organization. The guy has a massive ego. So sick of Carl Williams. He's got to just be quiet, watch his son play, because he's just bringing bad publicity around the Bears. This team that's paying his son 20-30 million dollars. I don't think it's professional. I think he should know better as a dad. The guy's 6 years old, and he's acts like he's 24. His son's on Pop Warner still. It's really just tough to see Carl Williams just tarnish Caleb's name for no reason. I know some of the quotes were from Caleb, and he was concerned, but that's fine. There's no reason this article needed to go public in the first place. This could have been a private convo between him and his loser dad, Carl. And I think that it would have been a much more of a less of a story. But at the end of the day, I don't really care because, and if you read the article, and towards the end it says when Caleb met with Ryan Poles and the entire organization, he was sold. He told us that I want to be a Chicago Bear. I can turn this thing around. Quote unquote. ESPN, Bleacher Report quote that. I want to be a Chicago Bear, and I can turn this organization around. So that's all that matters to me. And now that we hired Ben Johnson, he's thrilled to be here. We're all thrilled to be fans of it. and it's a good time to be a Chicago Bear. So I think the article didn't mean too much to me, besides the fact that I got like 800 texts from guys like John Galimi and Max Rosa and losers like that who just want to chirp the Bears all day long, instead of actually getting back to work. So that's the way I look at that article.
Oh, you're really calling out your friends in this show, aren't you?
Friends, enemies, whatever you want to call them.
Okay. Um, yeah, no, look, the quarterback changes the franchise. You know, if Caleb is that guy, the Bears will be good. You know, we saw, guys like Josh Allen, the Bills to have a lot of success since Jim Kelly. Um, you know, you see the Chiefs, I mean, yeah, they had Alex Smith, but once they got Patrick Mahomes, whole new level.
Whole new level.
It's a quarterback. But you know what? Coaches, organizations, owners,
How about the
it don't
Bills?
matter.
How about the Bills? They got Josh Allen, and now they're a good organization. They were a disaster for 20 years.
Yeah, no, exactly. So you do need a good GM, which I think Ryan Poles, he's doing a good job. I like the pieces that he's, you know, fitting around Caleb. I think they now hired Ben Johnson, which, like I said, they're changing the culture, making more offense. You know, if you have a good defensive coordinator, you guys will be fine. Like,
Yeah,
you know, but yeah, no, I was high on the Bears last year. Unfortunately, I believe everything turned since that Hail
yeah,
Mary happened because
it was. Yeah,
you guys rolled the Jaguars in London. You guys were
rolled,
hot.
steamrolled them.
You know, you guys were beating. You guys took the lead from Washington, and
Two
everything flipped since that Hail Mary.
Caleb Williams in that game, to be more specific, he drove down the field two times, win the game. First time he drove all the way down from the 3 yard line all the way down to the opposing 1 yard line, and then Matt Eberflus calls a handoff to the 400-pound linebacker playing fullback. The guy fumbles the ball on the 1 yard line. Luckily, which is a coaching malpractice, they get the ball back from Jane Daniels, who goes three and out again, three times in a row. Punts the ball back. Caleb comes down and drives another scoring drive. This time he actually punches it in. This time, hands it off to the running back. They score, and then the Hail Mary. So Caleb couldn't have done anything else. He drove on the field two times. He outplayed Jane Daniels in that fourth quarter. Media won't tell you that. Fans won't tell you that. Commanders fans won't tell you that. But that if you go back and watch that game, that second half was all Caleb. He showed out, and just unfortunately, Matt Eberflus doesn't know how to call a timeout before Hail Mary and get his team set.
You know, I think the NFL we need Caleb Williams to hit because you look at the quarterbacks in the AFC, they're all big, they're the most famous.
Yep. Yeah, I
You know,
agree.
the NFC, Matthew Stafford's getting older. Uh, Jordan Love's kind of iffy.
Yeah,
Uh,
he's Jordan Love is very iffy. I want to preface this that. Shout out McCarthy. Jordan Love to me. I don't want to get too far into it. I know we got our topic to cover, but Jordan Love very iffy. I think he's one of the most overrated quarterbacks in the NFL. No bias aside, um, I think he's got overpaid because of that Cowboys playoff game where he played well in. But you know better than anybody, who doesn't beat the Cowboys in the playoffs? Everybody does. So I
everyone
don't think
does.
that was, yeah, everybody beats the Cowboys. So they Packers jumped the gun. They panicked. They looked around the league. They're like, all right, Jordan Love's the only guy we have. They paid him 250 million. And this year, what happened? He got hurt. He came back. He was lackluster. Packers squeaked into the playoffs with an easy schedule. And then what happened then? They lost by 30 to Philly. Jordan Love threw three interceptions. I think it was 150 yards total. So he kind of came back on the earth. I think right now I would say he's more of a top 20 quarterback than top 10. People think he's top 10, but he's not. I definitely think that Caleb kind of takes a big leap this year and passes Jordan Love in almost every category of stats.
So I was about to say is we need big time quarterbacks in the NFC.
Absolutely.
So Jaden Daniels, I think he's a top 10 quarterback right now. I think Caleb Williams, I think he will enter top 10 this season. Like
Wow.
by Thanksgiving, you're gonna say, yeah, he's a top 10 quarterback.
Wow. I like your vision. I think from one ball nowhere to another. I think it's a great prediction. Him entering the top 10, I totally agree with. I think that's very realistic. I think the top five is pretty set in stone right now. I'll give you my top five quarterbacks right now. I'll give you Mahomes, Burrow, Josh Allen, our top three, Lamar, and then I put Stafford at five, Justin Herbert at six. Do you like that list, Ed?
I like the top five, with no particular order, but
Yeah, no order. Yeah.
but I'm sorry. The last episode that we had, Justin Herbert needs to prove something this year. He,
Wow.
he needs to win a playoff game. We got
I
to stop saying that he's talented. He needs to go out and prove it.
I agree. Not to get too off topic, but would you say that this year he had very little to work with, and his best receiver was a 5'9" white wide receiver from who knows where, Lukaku, whatever his name is.
Georgia.
Um, yeah, Georgia. That was his best weapon. I think that it was kind of a rookie rebuilt team around Herbert with a brand new coach. I think they kind of did some good things this year. I think we got to give him a little more time with a little more help. But I
Okay, but
agree.
that was a bad playoff game.
I agree. It was. They were outmatched. That Houston defense, when they're healthy, is one of the best in the NFL. They're very underrated. They're when they got Hunter, that defense took a huge step forward. But yeah, it was a bad game. But I think we gotta give because Herbert didn't really have a coach like Caleb his first 2 years. So yeah, Harbaugh's a good coach. She'll get him on the right path. But I agree. This year we definitely need to see a playoff win from the Chargers, 100%.
Yeah, no, exactly. All right, let's talk about your Bears schedule. They
It's
open
tough,
up.
Ed. It's tough.
Oh, it's tough.
It's
Look,
hard.
I mean, we know the North is good, but I'm excited for that. Uh, week one matchup. Vikings Bears. We're gonna see what Ivis Caleb will do. But also McCarthy. We haven't seen him in a real game yet. We know the Vikings wide receivers. They're loaded. We know. Yeah, we know they have a great head coach. We're gonna really see what Caleb is, and we're gonna see what McCarthy will be day one.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's gonna be a tough. I don't think the game will be tough to win. I mean, it'll be hard to win. Minnesota's a good team, but it's a tough matchup for Caleb Week 1 because as you know, that Minnesota defense is stout. That's a top five unit in the NFL last year, maybe higher than that. I don't even know off the top of my head, but they were unbelievable last year, Minnesota's defense. So, um, hoping that McCarthy kind of has a rough game. Caleb does what he needs to do, and they win that game outright. I'm thinking final score 30-17 Chicago, and it's in Chicago too. That crowd's going to be absolutely electric. Monday Night Football. It's going to be the loudest you're going to hear Soldier Field in a long time. So I don't see any way Bears lose that game.
Okay, so they open up with the Vikings, then they play the Lions. You at least got to be 1-1. You can't start off 0-2.
Yeah, I think they win both games. The reason is no bias aside. I think they win both games, start 2-0 because Ben Johnson is going to know that Lions team at the back of his hand, and this is going to be a Lions team who's going to take a 4 or 5 weeks to catch their footing. They're going to take a little bit to kind of figure it out. Ben Johnson's going to have his best playbook dialed up for his former team. Is this game in Detroit or Chicago?
Week two it'll be in Detroit,
Yeah, I think he goes in. He's familiar with the building. I think we go in. I think we win. I think we start 2-0.
and then you got the Cowboys. Which look, I get Dak Prescott's back, but I'm not a big Cowboy believer. I think you guys can win that game.
Yeah,
Uh,
I agree.
and then the Raiders. Look, it's in Vegas. But if you guys have a good pass rush, you can disrupt Geno Smith. Um, and plus the Raiders don't have a lot of weapons. They got Genty, they got Brock, tight end from Georgia. Uh, but then look, you guys got the Commanders at Washington. We know that's going to be a good game. Uh,
So what are we at right now? We're at 3-1 or 4-0. Did
no,
we?
I'm just naming.
Okay,
We're not. I'm just naming top games right now.
gotcha, gotcha,
Uh,
gotcha.
you guys play at the Ravens. That's going to be a tough game.
Yeah,
Uh, you guys play at the Bengals. Um, in November, and we know the Bengals start slow and they start heating up in the late October, November. Um, and then Giants are going to be bad.
yeah.
Vikings, we all know they're going to be good later in the season. Uh, you play at the Eagles November 28th. I mean,
I I I love that game. I love look. I love that game. I think Philly fans are one of my least favorite fan bases in the NFL. I think you agree with that. I think it's a game where Black Friday they might not be taking us too seriously, but at that point, when they see our record, they're gonna be like, okay, this is a game we got to win. This is one of our top threats in the NFC going next 5 years. So they're gonna go in that game, and I think they might have a chance to steal one. I really do. I think it's gonna be a tough game. It's in the link, right, in Philly.
yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be a tough game, but with Jalen Hurts limitations, like I said earlier, I think if they're not ready to play, I think it's a game we could steal. So I wouldn't count that game out.
Look, you can say December really lightens up. I mean, look, at Packers, home
Love that.
against the Browns, Shadur Sanders might play that game. Uh, Actually, you know what? It's a hard down the road stretch. You guys play the 49ers and then Lions. My bad. That's brutal.
Yeah, it's not when you play in the NFC North, and then the NFC North is playing the NFC East this year, who's also pretty solid with Washington, Philly. It's a tough schedule. I don't know why we're playing the 49ers again. I don't understand that. We played in the last 2 years. I thought we'd get someone else in that division who's not as good. Um, but I don't really understand that. I think we kind of got shafted with the schedule this year. They maybe saw what Ben Johnson was about to do to our team, so they made it a little harder on us. But hey, you know what they say? They told us in CYBA ad. Remember, to be the best, you got to beat the best. And anybody who thinks that we can't beat the best, teams like Philly, Niners, Kansas City, Baltimore, they're wrong. With Ben Johnson, Caleb Williams year two, and these weapons, anybody's on the table to be beaten.
Um, the Bears over under this season is 8.5. Uh,
Wow, that's crazy.
Look, you know, it's up to Caleb. If Caleb's that guy, you can easily hit the over.
100%. I think that's one of the best bets you can make in football right now is betting the Bears over 8.5. Like I said, I think it's that hangover from last year. People are just like, all right, they're obviously loaded. They got the best coach in free agency. Caleb looks promising. He had 3.5K yards last year, 20 touchdowns behind the battle line. I think people are just like, all right, they still were bad last year, even with all of that, even all that talent. But last year they had no coach. They changed the coach 3 times. This year they have an established top coach from Detroit who knows what he's doing. They have Dennis Allen, who is one of the best defensive coordinators in the NFL on the defensive side of the ball. These are well established coaches. It's a young coaching staff, but it's a coaching staff who's proven that they know the game of football. So people have to realize that coaching change, the O line changes, it's going to make a big difference from last year.
Okay, so right now we're in May.
Yep.
This is my prediction. I think the Lions win the division.
Okay. Okay. I can respect that.
I got the Bears coming in second.
Yeah, I like that.
I got it's tough.
Minnesota in third, probably.
Yeah, and Green Bay's coming in last.
Yeah, I like that a lot.
Look, Jordan Love tailed off at the end of the season.
He's
Uh,
tailed off. Yeah, he's not what he was for sure.
um, you know, uh, yeah, but I Detroit, I got them. they're gonna come down a little bit, but they still win the division. I think the Chicago Bears, they make it to the seventh seed. I think they just get in the playoffs
Okay.
because I don't think the NFC is that strong. It's not stronger than the AFC.
Yeah, no, 100%. AFC's been better for multiple years now. So that's why I'm super excited because the NFC. If the guy who won the NFC last, if the best quarterback in the NFC last year was Jalen Hurts, that's how you know anybody can win the NFC because that guy, if you put him on any other roster in the NFL, I'm sure you might agree with this. He would not be the same guy. He would not be an MVP candidate. He has so much help around him: top O line, top weapons, top defense in the NFL. Um, I think anybody can really succeed. We saw it with Nick Foles in 2016. Anybody can succeed with a loaded roster like that. So yeah, NFC. If Hurts is the standard, if Hurts is the goalpost for NFC quarterbacks, I hope there's no Philly fans listening. Cover your ears. That is embarrassing. He is not a top five quarterback. If that's the best NFC has to offer, Jalen Hurts. Um, that's not good. That's a door open for anybody. Guys like Purdy, Caleb, Goff. So much doors open there. Philly's a great team. Barkley's a stud, but yeah, if Hurts is the standard in the NFC, that's a low standard. That's like a C minus quarterbacks.
Hey, Jalen Hurts is also an underdog quarterback. All right, let's just get that.
Underdog. He went to Alabama. What do you mean he's an underdog?
Okay, but he got benched by Nick Saban. Look, don't hate on the guy.
Yeah, I think Saban knew what he was doing because they won the game.
Who's a better quarterback, Caleb or Tua?
Oh, Caleb. I think
No, 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 not Caleb. Tua, Tua or Hurts.
it's tough. I think look,
Stop it. It's
no,
Hurts. Stop
it's
it.
it hurts. It hurts. But I think Tua gets a lot of slack. Because his arm is not big, and Hurts isn't that big either. But I'll give it to Hurts. But if you look at the rosters, I'm telling you, if you look at what the Eagles have done, Howie Roseman's the best general manager in football. I'll give Philly fans that. He's the best GM going, no doubt about it. What they have put around Hurts, the Giants letting go. Yeah, so Tua, I would take Hurts, give Hurts a slight edge with respect to what he's accomplished, but I don't think Tua, talent wise, is far off. If he was in Philadelphia, I think we would see a similar story of what happened there. I just think Hurts has a better situation than Tua. But yeah, I would take Hurts over Tua, NFL quarterback for sure. But like I said, I don't think Jalen Hurts is a top five quarterback. I don't think anybody who thinks he is either a Philly fan or a victim of recency bias. He just doesn't have that kind of talent that guys like Stafford, Burrow, and Josh Allen have. So, but yeah, I'll take Hurts over Tua.
Okay, since you're a Bears fan, give me your prediction.
All right, I'll kind of run through it 10 seconds here. So do you have the schedule pull up, Ed, by any chance, or no?
Yeah, yeah, I got it up.
All right, just read me off, and I'll give you win or loss. Um, I'll
Home,
start.
home,
Yep,
home, home versus the Vikings.
win 31-20, 31-17 Chicago.
You don't need to give me the scores.
Okay,
Away at the Lions.
win.
Home versus Cowboys.
Win
Away versus the Bears.
versus Raiders.
Yep. I mean versus the Raiders.
Uh, I'll say win for that. 4-0.
I did say yeah, you're at the Raiders, correct?
Yeah, at Raiders, that's probably our easiest game of the schedule. I'd say 4-0.
Away at the Commanders.
It's gonna be a tough game. Um, I think that I don't see any real way that they don't get revenge from last year. I think win Chicago, close game though. Those are the two best young quarterbacks in the game right now, Jaden and Caleb. So, I'll say 5-0 win there.
Home versus the Saints.
Win, easy game.
Away at the Ravens.
We gotta lose at some point, Ed, right? So I will. I'll take a loss there. Ravens are obviously one of the best teams. It'll be a close game. We'll be competitive, but I'll take a loss there.
Away versus the Bengals.
This is a sneaky game, high scoring. I'll say win. I think that Bengals defense is so bad that we would score enough.
Home versus the Giants.
Big win. Caleb gets benched early. They're up by so much.
Away at the Vikings.
I'll give it the loss. I'll give it a loss there.
Home versus Steelers.
Win. They don't have a quarterback yet.
Away at the Eagles.
You may not like this. I'm gonna say win. I think Philly's gonna come unprepared, short week. Win.
Away at the Packers.
Win. Of course.
Home versus the Browns.
Big win.
Home versus the Packers.
Win.
Oh, at 49ers.
I'm gonna say loss. I think that's a tough game. I think playing in San Fran is one of the hardest places to play. That place is gonna be rocking. Sunday night football. I think it'll be two wild card teams. So I think it'll be a loss.
Home versus the Lions.
I think we'll split with the Lions. I think that at this point we'll be resting guys. We'll already have the wild card locked up. So will the Lions. So we'll give them the win. Kind of like a charity case.
So you have the Bears going 13-4.
Yeah. Addy, you don't like that?
Hey, that's your prediction.
Yeah.
Um,
You can hold me to it. We can check back in later in
no,
the
no, no,
season.
no. Hey, this is your early prediction. You know, right now I got them going 10-7.
Yeah, I think anything double digit wins would be great. Mine is a positive outlook on their potential. If they meet that, this is what they can do. They can be a 12, 13 win team. If they can come close to it, they can be a 10 win team like you. If they don't, then they might be below that. That would be very disappointing. But for me, the goal is to get in the playoffs this year. That's my only goal. Is to get into that playoffs and make some noise, like the Commanders did last year. So yeah, I think 13-4 is realistic. The people watching might you might get some haters watching because people like to or hate watching my sports take sometimes, but um, when they tune in, they're gonna be a little disappointed in that. But they'll have to wait and see.
Hey, you know what? I love your prediction. I had the Bills going 13-4 as well. So
There
don't
we go.
don't feel
Yeah,
don't feel bad. Don't feel bad.
I won't lose sleep over it probably, but I like it.
Yeah, look, I mean, my expectation for the Bears is get to the playoffs. Caleb Williams is developed. You know, he's still developing. Get a little bit better because we know he has talent. Uh, although Ben Johnson don't make mistakes. No, look, he's a rookie head coach. He can make some mistakes, but don't
Yeah,
make
yeah,
the obvious mistakes.
yeah. Like the Bills not calling timeout in the 2021 AFC Championship game. Just joking, I just joking.
First of all, no. First of all, it's not. They didn't squib kick it. That's why they didn't need to call a timeout. They just needed to squib kick it.
Oh yeah, it was they were playing like very conservative, right? And then Kelsey had like two big plays, right?
Kelsey, Tyreek. It don't matter. Look, they won. Congratulations. They have 3 Super Bowls. Uh,
Hey, and that runs over. It's the Bills' time now, right, Ed?
hey, hopefully, Kincaid, please catch the football. All right.
I
Um,
think I think this is the year the Bills finally do it. I really do. I think them or Baltimore will finally break the seal this year.
right now, that's my early prediction for the AFC is Ravens or Bills. I think they meet up in the championship game. Um,
I hope so. I hope so. No more Chiefs. We can agree on that.
yeah, yeah. Go Chargers.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey, Hey, we're about to wrap up. I just want to say I appreciate you being on the show. This was fun, and I love hearing your Bears takes.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. It's always a pleasure. We'll have to do it again soon. This is kind of my first appearance, but we'll have to do it again soon. I know you've had some special guests in the show. I hope this episode kind of went through kind of lived up to your expectations. And I think maybe we can check in during the season when the Bears are hopefully 6-0, and we can tune back in and kind of give it to the haters of the podcast and who are going to be leaving in the comments today. Just despicable, but it was a pleasure. Let's leave on a positive note. Your show is doing great. Keep growing it. Love your bets as well on Instagram stories. So keep doing you, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, absolutely. See ya.
All right, have a good day, Ed.